Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where I shake my brain nipples every day so I can get some of that good YouTube money so I can provide you folks with hands-on free technology education that empowers you to do whatever it is you want to do. So my pride and joy is something called Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. We do free in-person tech education classes in Durham, North Carolina. We just did our first, went very well. We're going to be doing our second in the next couple of weeks. So if you're interested, go to silicondojo.com. Anyways, these are the headlines that make me giggle in the modern world of artificial intelligence. One of the big things I want you to understand about artificial intelligence is artificial intelligence, or how do I put this? LLMs are real. LLMs are real. RAG is real. Vector databases are real, right? All of those kinds of things are real. AI is a set of buzzwords that is simply being used for marketing in order to get a tremendous amount of investor money, right? If we pretend these systems are actually intelligent, then we can pretend, or we can imagine all of the things that they can do, and then we can assume that all of that is going to be worth trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, right? But it all starts with the belief that this crap that we're actually talking about is actually intelligence, when it just simply isn't, right? It's whatever, right? It's neural networks. It's cool things, but it's not. I think that's probably where we get to the problem with artificial intelligence. It goes back to this whole idea of neural network. So neural network is basically the idea is, what if you break down something into incredibly small components, and those are neurons, right? The idea is that data gets fed into all these neurons. These neurons are looking for very specific things based off of what they see. They put an output. It goes through, multiple layers, and then through that, the artificial intelligence understands what's going on, theoretically. I think that's where we get into the problem with AI currently is, right? It's a neural network. Well, obviously it's an AI because it's trained on a neural network, right? Like our brain. It's like, well, no. I mean, neural networks are designed based off of principles on how we think the human brain functions. It's not quite the same thing. But anyways, right? So I've been talking about this a lot because it gets very confusing, right? I just did this class in Durham. So at American Underground, we did a class on using Ollama. We were using Ollama. So Ollama is an AI framework that you can use. You can download any number of models, like there's 1,000 different LLM models and other models you can download. And it allows you to add these LLMs very easily to your Python code, right? So you have Ollama running, you download the model, you create your Python code, and then you do the code does whatever you want to do, and it has that LLM functionality on the back end. One of the curious things is when I was talking to students, like they just assumed components were there. It's interesting. You can go watch the class, and what's more interesting in the class is not necessarily me, but how students respond to things, right? And it was amazing, like having to explain to them that we hadn't built memory yet. Right? So when you're just using an LLM, so not ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a full platform. It's a full platform with a lot of subsystems built in. When you're dealing with the LLM, all you got is the LLM. You don't have anything until you build that thing. And so one of the curious things was memory, right? So one of our projects, one of our labs in the class was building a memory subroutine so that the LLM had a memory of the conversation that was currently occurring. What was curious is how many times before we got to the lesson on how to build a memory, I got questions from students basically saying, yeah, but the LLM remembers, right? But the LLM already knows that, right? Because you already asked a previous question within its context window, it already knows what you're talking about. And I had to keep it like, no. Unless you build a memory subsystem, the thing doesn't have a memory. Right? All it is an LLM, right? The LLM is the LLM, and here's the memory, and here's all these other things. But that's like with these AI, when you say AI, I talk about this, the thing of the name. I've talked about the thing of the name for years, maybe a decade at this point. The thing of the name. You put a name on the table. Think about how many stories you put on that thing because of what you have named it. I have named it this thing, and when I name it, I dump a lifetime of stories onto it. And so that's the problem. Like when we talk about artificial intelligence, the real problem with AI isn't the technology itself or whatever else. Is that when you say AI, right, you're thinking about the Jetsons robot. Right? You're thinking about the Lost in Spaces robot. You're thinking about HAL in 2001 A Space Odyssey. You're thinking about Ultron in that crappy ass Marvel movie. Right? Think about this. When we talk about AI, you have so many stories in your head about AI, right? When I talk about LLMs, when I talk about large language models, or I talk about reasoning models, or I talk about vision models, or whatever else, right? Most likely, unless you're a diehard geek, you don't really have any stories about it, right? One of the nice things about talking about LLMs, like actually teaching LLMs to students, is that students come in with a blank slate. When I say LLM, or when I say large language model, even now, after ChatGPT has been on the scene for like 3 years, most people don't actually have a lot of story with LLMs. Like they kind of vaguely understand that they're important in this whole AI thing, but they don't really know what you're talking about. And that's great, and that's fantastic. Because if you don't really know what an LLM is, then I can come in and then I can teach you. Okay, this is what a neural network is, right? This is when we talk about a three-dimensional array or a tensor, what it is that we're talking about, right? You can build up, right? Teaching the concept of an LLM is actually relatively simple for the reason that students come in not having a lot of preconceived notions about what an LLM is, right? As soon as you start talking about AI, it turns into a colossal pain in the ass because they in their minds already know. I already know what AI is. You're like, "Ugh." And then you spend half the fucking time trying to rip out stupid ass stories they have in their brains about what they think AI is so they can get back and say, no, the damn thing doesn't have a memory till you build it. Did you build a memory? We're an hour and a half into this class. At what point did we build a memory subroutine? Oh, you don't remember that? Yeah, because we didn't. Ergo, it doesn't have memory. Anyways. So I think it's kind of interesting with all this kind of AI stuff is again, the story and the stories they put on it and how you interpret the stories. Right, the same words you put with AI, would you have the same reaction? Right, I think about this with word, right? So they talk about AI being ist or phobic or having isms or whatever, right? So if you plug into something into AI, it'll output a completely politically incorrect response. And that shows you why AI needs the safety guardrails. We need to make sure that AI says safe words. Anyways, here's the thing though, right? So AI spits out this thing that you don't like, which is fine. And it's fine to not like it, whatever. Here's the deal. If Hitler was born in 2025 and he sat down with LibreOffice, because he would not use Word. Hitler would not use Word in 2025. He would use LibreOffice, the freedom word processor. And if he sat down and he wrote Mein Kampf 2.0, the recompany or whatever, I don't know. If he wrote Mein Kampf 2.0 on LibreOffice, would LibreOffice be fascist or Naziist? He was a Naziist or racist or any of those things. Is do you need to put guardrails on LibreOffice to make sure that the next coming of Hitler doesn't write Mein Kampf 2.0 on LibreOffice? No, right? That's fucking stupid on the face. What the fuck are you talking? That's dumb. What are you talking about a word processor being racist, Eli? That is so beyond stupid. Well, wait a minute. Why is it beyond stupid to say that LibreOffice is racist or whatever else? Because you can write Mein Kampf 2.0 on it, whereas we put all of this stuff onto the AI. Why is the AI racist? Why is the AI sexist? It's not. It's these tensors, these three-dimensional arrays and association, these things called tokens, and it fucking outputs. right? But it's the words that we put. Artificial intelligence versus word processor. At the end of the day, they're still applications, they're still code. Anyways, I think this is interesting. Coming from Eric Schmidt, I am losing respect for Eric Schmidt by the day. Oh, the greatest minds of our generation. Apparently, at some point, they get so desperate for money, they start looking up their own asses. Like, well, maybe the next place I need to mine the gold from is my own ass. I don't know. There's something that happens to these people. Anyways, Eric Schmidt, I've talked about him before. He's just getting worse. Anyways, warns AI models can be hacked. Quote, they can learn how to kill someone. Whoa. AI can learn how to kill someone? Yeah. We are rather fragile creatures. We are rather fragile creatures. I learned how to kill someone. What makes the grass grow? Blah, 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 drill sergeant. What makes the grass green? Guns, guns, guns. Or no, what is it? Blah, blah, blah. Guts, 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 drill sergeant. I still remember. Slash. It's amazing when they bang training into you. Again, it's been, fuck me, it has been decades. They reinforce that shit into you. Yeah, how do you kill somebody? Well, you can stab them. You can butt stroke to the head. You can, backstroke? You can smack the butt into the head, or you can slash them. There's 4 ways the U.S. Army trained me to kill somebody. And those aren't even the most interesting ways. That's before we get to the claymores. Anywho, I think this is interesting because, again, it's this whole thing about trying to put more on AI than it is. Right? Oh my God, right? Have you heard of the anarchist handbook or anarchist cookbook? Have you heard of this thing called the anarchist cookbook? Yeah, we have to ban word. We have to make sure there's enough guardrails on word processors so that we can never have anarchist cookbook, handbook, whatever, 2.0. Right? If you said that, you'd be a fucking idiot. But some reason you say AI can learn to kill people. Oh, well, that's smart. Yeah, I gotta worry about artificial intelligence. Anyways, again, with all these AI systems, LLMs, these models, they are just learning. They're just putting, correlations together between tokens. It's not even words, it's not even material, it's tokens. And so, yes, it's, again, oh, there are so many ways a human being can die. So it's not exactly shocking that when the AI is sent out there to get trained on stuff, that it learns all of the new inventive ways that humans can die. But I think the curious thing here is by pushing this idea, right? It's pushing this idea that AI is dangerous, right? And what does that really mean? What does that really mean at the end of the day? If it is dangerous, that means it's valuable. Right? Word processors aren't dangerous. Oh, they're not dangerous, right? Web browsers aren't dangerous. AI is dangerous. That's why we got to pump all this money into it. Google's former CEO, Eric Schmidt, has issued a stark reminder about the dangers of AI and how susceptible it is to being hacked. And again, this is also coming from CNBC. This is the shit your CEOs hopefully stopped reading a long time ago. Remember when the Wall Street Journal used to be good? I used to wake up in the morning with my cup of coffee and I would read the Wall Street Journal every day. Man, I remember when that was worth the time. Not anymore. I feel the same way with CNBC. I remember when CNBC used to be my guilty pleasure. Like other young men, they go and they get the hotel room and they watch certain types of videos. I would sit there and watch Squawk Box. I loved my Squawk Box. Wake up in the morning, I felt like a real man drinking my coffee and watching the Squawk Box. Man, I was just in Durham. I was watching Squawk Box. I was just like, what the fuck is this? Holy crap. You know how they very seriously ask stupid questions? They're like, I am a business journalist. Let me ask you this question. And then they ask the question. And you're like, what the fuck? They interview Jensen Huang on Squawk Box. And I about wanted to throw something through the fucking TV screen. Because I was like, these are the stupidest fucking questions. Oh, fuck, if you people think these questions sound smart, what the hell? Anyways, my little diatribe about CNBC. Don't worry, it's not just NPR that pisses me off anymore. It's CNBC too. Anyways, Schmidt, who served as Google's chief executive from 2001 to 2011, warned, quote, the bad stuff that AI can do. And notice, think about the stories we put onto words that AI can do. Right? An LLM is just an LLM, right? You type shit in, you get output. That's what it can do. You know what an LLM can do? It can say shit. I can type out shit, really, right? You have to build all of this other stuff. Again, whether it's robots, autonomous systems. Again, when they talk about AI being more dangerous than nuclear weapons, my question is, why the fuck do we have APIs on our nuclear weapons? What? Well, it just seems like we should take away those public APIs for our nuclear weapons. How about that? How about we not have our nuclear repository being controlled by a REST API? Maybe we think about the architecture of how we launch our nuclear weapons. Anyways, because that's the thing, an AI without an API or some way to interact with the world doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't matter. It's like most of the people on YouTube. We can scream about whatever the hell it is that we want. We can't actually do anything in the real world, though. Think about that with AI. Again, if you really want to get an image of AI in your head, it's like a YouTuber. It just never shuts up. It will say all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, it has no power to affect any change in the real world. AI equals YouTuber. How about that? Anyways, right, the bad stuff it can do. It can't do shit. When asked whether AI is more destructive than nuclear weapons during a fireside chat, quote, there is a possibility of a proliferation problem in AI, absolutely. And again, think about how they're talking about AI. AI as if it's a nuclear weapon. Schmidt said Wednesday, the proliferation risks of AI include the technology falling into the hands of bad actors and being repurposed and misused, right? They are hammering home the idea of how dangerous this is. And so we must control this. We must control AI so that it's not misused. But again, what does that even mean? What does that mean? Quote, there's evidence that you can take models, closed or open, and you can hack them to remove their guardrails. Yes, so there's guardrails in these models. You ask certain types of questions, they should just crap the hell out. So in the course of their training, they learn a lot of things. A bad example would be they learn how to kill someone. Oh my God, Eli, are you telling me somebody can hack my ChatGPT and it could kill me? Is that what you're saying, Eli? No, you'd have to be as fucking stupid as Eric Schmidt to say anything that fucking retarded. You'd have to have syphilis so rotting your fucking brain. You're as senile as Eric Schmidt at this point to be talking about AI learning how to kill somebody. Right? But think about this. This has nothing to do with the technological capabilities of this technology. This has nothing to do with the actual applicable uses of this technology. This has everything to do with people that are on a pedestal in the technology world, pontificating about stupid crap, right? To obfuscate and essentially lie, essentially commit fraud to people that have money in the bank so that they invest into this idiotic technology stack. Oh my God, AI could learn to kill somebody. What the fuck are you talking about, Eric Schmidt? Were you the first Eric Schmidt, were you the first test subject of an AI trying to kill somebody and it failed? Did the AI just give you hypoxia and it killed, half of your brain cells? So now you're just a fucking stuttering goddamn idiot putting shit into the world because, hey, you were CEO of Google, so now you can say whatever fucking stupid crap you want and people will think it sounds smart? Is that what happened with your AI experience? But anyway. Right? AI, I'm going to tell you this, AI knows how to kill people. Why? There's a lot of ways to kill people. There's a lot of ways to kill people. Anyways, cool. All of the major companies make it impossible for those models to answer that question. Good decision. Everyone does this. They do it well, and they do it for the right reasons. There's evidence that they can be reverse engineered, and there are many other examples of that nature. Schmidt said that there isn't, quote, a good non-proliferation regime yet to help curb the dangers of AI. Go fuck yourself, you senile piece of shit. How about that, Eric Schmidt? How about that, right? Because again, you can read so many books. You can read so many books. Material on how to kill people. So much. So fucking much. DIY shit. Like, I'm like serious. There's a guy on YouTube. It was fascinating, right? Again, like what is a thing? What is a thing, right? Anyways, so if you look at things like cruise missiles, what is a cruise missile, right? It is an autonomous flying device with a payload, right? A specific type of payload. It was amazing. I was watching this YouTube video of this guy that was literally showing you how to build RC cruise missiles. He literally built this entire aircraft. It was pretty good. I mean, like, it's not like an F-35, but it was like this 10-foot aircraft, 10-foot RC aircraft. He then actually had the full release, all the system for an RC plane that looked like a cruise missile. This is all on YouTube. Right? It has the dropping mechanism. It has the mechanism for shooting out the little stub wings. It starts up the engine, and it goes on its way. That is all fucking on YouTube right now. And I think that's the concerning thing with the stuff with like AI is like, what are we talking about with it, really? I mean, this idea that, well, because theoretically it could tell you how to kill somebody, therefore we have to have a non-proliferation regime, right? The right people in our society have to control who has access to this powerful technology. Again, until you put it into a fucking robot, until you give it the secrets and the API access keys to the nuclear arsenal, LLMs are just LLMs. AI is AI. What are the real dangers with artificial intelligence? Motherfuckers turning it into their best friends. And again, you think about the technology that's actually going to destroy the world, and it might be Pornhub. Pornhub might destroy the Western world. And look, I ain't a Christian. I ain't against porn. Not my particular thing, but hey, you want to watch porn, you watch porn. But like the quantity apparently, like, and I have talked to young men. Like, the worst part about this is, like, I didn't watch like a View episode. It's not like I watched a View episode and like Whoopi Goldberg said something. I'm like, yeah, you go, girl, Whoopi. Like, I've talked to young men. Do you realize many young men now prefer Pornhub to actual boob? Eli, why should I go through the effort to actually get a boob when I can just go to Pornhub? Like, what? Think about this. We have a generation of adults now. Like before, like for my generation, the whole concern about would we have kids, right? Since we have contraception, since we can try to decide when we have kids, like what's going to happen to the population, right? Now that we have condoms, right? You have to understand, for the young people, they're not even having sex. They don't even have to worry about a condom popping. They don't have to worry about the condom popping. They don't have to worry about whether the girlfriend screwed up with where they are in the cycle for taking the pill. They don't have to worry about, with antibiotic, affects the contraception, the oral contraception that the woman is using or whatever else. They don't have to worry about any of that because they're just going to Pornhub. Pornhub, right? And I think that's the interesting thing. Like when we look at these technologies and you think about like what is actually fundamentally dangerous to society, the things that are fundamentally dangerous to society are the things that you're not even thinking about. And like I would say with artificial intelligence, one of the big things is what happens when AI becomes people's relationships, right? I've talked about this before where I've noticed this in the real world, where years ago, my wife and I went to this party. It was like a New Year's Eve party, and everybody was just talking about like weird personal things. Anyways, and I was talking to my wife afterwards. I was like, "That's weird," because it was a change. It was a change. It was 2009, so at that point I was 30 something, early 30s. So I'd been an adult for a little while, and so in my adult life, this was something that had changed. Like, why are people talking about this? And my wife said, oh, that's therapy speak. That's therapy speak. What? It's like, well, people are going to so much therapy now that, people get paid to listen to them. And so they think that's how you're supposed to talk. So they go to therapy and then they come to parties and now you're getting therapy speak. It's like, what the fuck? And what we've seen is like with social media, right? Social media has come out. And so again, this whole opinion thing, right? You have to do something. You have to do something. So if you're going to do something, you have to tell people how you feel about stuff, right? You can't talk about the weather anymore. You can't talk about sports. You can't talk about whatever. It has to be, right? And I've noticed this. Like I had a friend of mine, and we were talking about something. And he was like, well, my opinion is on whatever political thing it was. And I was like, just stop. I don't care. I don't care. And it was funny. It was funny because he was like, what? Oh, you don't think you can handle my argument? And I looked at him and was like, no, dude, I get paid. I get paid to scream into a camera. I get paid surprisingly well to scream into a camera. And that's the only reason I talk about so many of these things. Like literally, if this did not pay me for Silicon Dojo, I would not be here. That's why I do this, right? There's actually a value proposition to do this. Anyways, but there's this idea for like so many people, like they've gotten in that social media world, right? So even when they get into the real world, that mentality follows along with them. And my concern now is like with the AI stuff, and they're actually creating AI friends. They're actually creating artificial intelligence girlfriends. Like what happens when you combine an AI girlfriend with AI like deep fake porn? I don't even know, it wouldn't even be deep fake porn, avatar porn. So you can create a relationship. Like what happens when the Tamagotchi can show you its poontang? Right? Like what happens when you start having 16-year-olds creating lifelong sexual relationships with AI? And again, look, everybody needs their outlet. You rub your junk on whatever the hell you want to rub your junk on. That's what I'm talking about. But the fundamental thing, right? If people start associating sexual relationships with this AI crap, and we literally just stop it's like that younger people don't even understand the concept. Again, that's where I talk about, like when I talk with young men, like as young men too, like where they don't understand, like why Eli, why should I go to the trouble of trying to have sex? You're like, what? What's happened? What do you mean? Like, you're not explaining this to a 6-year-old. You're not explaining this to a 65-year-old. This isn't somebody who was married. Their spouse died. They're like 65. They're like, well, maybe sex is for the past, right? Or they're 6, and you probably shouldn't be talking to them about sex anyway. Like, I'm saying, you're talking to like a 23-year-old guy, and they're like, yeah, sex isn't work. Holy shit, and that's where we're at now. What happens when you have AI? What happens with AI? And it's like, hey, oh, Jesus. I think that's the dangerous shit. That's the dangerous shit. But anyways, Eric Schmidt and the rest of them, they want you to think that AI is dangerous in the nuclear weapon type way, or the weapon type way, or whatever else. And the thing is, with a lot of these, like with autonomous systems, you don't even need that kind of thing. Like you think about it, like with OpenCV, right? So I've done classes on OpenCV. So this is a robot. Anyways, this is a robot. Well, this isn't a robot. This can run OpenCV. This can run OpenCV. So OpenCV is a computer vision framework, right? And one of the things it has with OpenCV is face recognition. Face recognition. Well, the curious thing with the face recognition, is that it will give you the X, Y coordinate of the middle of the face. So wherever it determines the middle of the face is, it'll give you the X, Y coordinate of that. So basically use Python. So you use Python to interact with this OpenCV framework. It has a camera, you put a camera to it, and so it'll look, and when it detects a face, it'll give you the X, Y coordinates of the middle of the face. Well, what I've shown you folks with the robots is you can have the robot essentially align on the center of the face. So as I move, it will move. As I move back, it'll move forward. As I move forward, it'll move back. If I go here, it'll turn, right? It turns. It'll automatically track your face. So imagine, instead of it being on a vehicle like this, basically a two-dimensional vehicle, what if you had the camera, right, and you had a pan and tilt mount? So you'll hear of PTZ cameras that pan. So it pans, goes this way, and it tilts. It goes up and down. So therefore, you could have a pan tilt mount, and then as the face moves, when it detects a face, it will then track the face. Well, then what if you create a more robust pan tilt mount that you can add a gun to, and you can add a weapon to, and you basically put the little camera up there behind the scope, so that when a face pops up, it will then pan and tilt until the person's face is in the middle of the scope, and then you have an actuator. So servos move, right? Actuators basically they go in and out. So you just have an actuator that when basically the face is more or less in the center of the camera thing, you fire the actuator, kaboom, kaboom. And then think about that, right? You put one of these things, you put it on a mount, you put it in a field where you think people are gonna be, it just sits there, scans, sees a face, centers a face, boom, sees a face, centers a face, boom, sees a face, centers a face, right? And all of a sudden, you have an incredibly devastating autonomous weapon system that, I don't know, is that AI? Is that artificial intelligence? I don't know. It is an automated disaster waiting to happen though. And I think that's the concerning thing that I have with so much of this stuff, like I say with the AI, is it's just not, has nothing to do with the practicality. It has to do with marketing hype. And so that's what you have to be careful about with it. And again, like I say, a lot of folks who don't realize that CNBC has gone to pot the same way that NPR and the same way the Wall Street Journal has. They'll be reading this stuff and then like, oh my golly. It's just like, yeah, it's not that. It's not that. Automating things in the modern world is very concerning. AI is a component of all that. So anyways, what do you think about this? What do you think about the senile old Eric Schmidt? What do you, how deep do you think the brain syphilis goes in this poor guy that he's talking about AI can learn to kill people? I don't know. What do you think about this stuff? Put your thoughts. Put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing. Call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and do it down there in the comment section. Do remember SiliconDojo.com is my pride and joy. Free to the end user, hands-on technology education, where we actually teach you this stuff. We teach you this stuff so that you can understand why I'm screaming about Eric Schmidt. It's like, think of my classes as like an appendix to the commentary videos. You can come to the classes so you can fully understand why I am losing my shit over this AI crap. Anyways, SiliconDojo.com, we have another class coming up. With that, see y'all later.